Back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, that's a CBT therapist, and a licensed mental health counselor. This is all my thoughts, my speculations, and nothing else. This is for education purpose too. In the beginning of this case, 13th November 2022, when I first came across this and it wasn't being played on social media, I found it shocking, baffling, that Maddie had a long black coat on that night. And it looks like her coat ended up behind the bushes. Recently, shout out to Chaos Sector for giving me such good vibes. I really appreciate it, and I admire their research too. Borrowed this from my channel because they couldn't find this clip anywhere else. I was shocked that it did not come on mainstream news media. They were showing small glimpses of things here and there, but they never focused on actually that the detectives was taking out a black coat. They didn't even bag it. They just threw it back in the bushes. Chaos Sector, shout out to them once again. Spoke about this topic recently with the help of my video, and I'm really happy that they focused on it. They found something that I did not focus that much on. The weapon the officer is holding in his hand. He gets that from Maddie's coat. Chaos Sector pointed that out clearly. For me, when I found this first, I was more shocked. I was like literally baffled. Why didn't they bag it? Why didn't they tag it? Why didn't they take it into evidence? It didn't make sense with me. I hate to use the word cover-up because I know cover-ups can happen anywhere and everywhere. But I like to always take the speculations to the loss. I wouldn't say this case is completely, I wouldn't use the word cover-up. I would say cover-up from the students, the frats, sororities, possibly organizations. It's just from the college students and maybe the staff backing them up. And let's not forget, 40 to 45% of the income of Idaho, Moscow comes from the students. Imagine this. I've always said that I believe the frats are involved, especially Sigma Chi and other frats, in my opinion. But imagine that this investigation pointed directly to the frats and the surviving roommates. What do you think is going to happen? It's just a theory. What do you think is going to happen to the college? You won't have any students enrolling, for sure. So they have to rather blame it on one person than suspects with the S, because things got out of hand from their own students, in my opinion. I personally don't believe there was just one motive. There was plenty of motives here. Crime of passion, revenge, possibly from surviving roommates, frats. They named it in 4chan, which I really believe in, because things happen according to what Anonymous told us in 4chan. Let's come back to Maddie's quote. What happened to Maddie? Let's say Let's say Eric Gower drove her home with Kaylee. And Elvira said she saw them coming in. She must have seen it from the neighbor's doorbell. And she says in another interview, my sisters came home, they let their dog out to potty, and this locked their doors, and this happened. What does she mean by that? Could Maddie have been dragged behind the bushes? There was a lot of activities happening that night with the Banfield boys. They were looking into the bushes. There were figures with costumes, honestly, in the bushes. What was actually happening here? I've always had my eyes on the frats. I always believe and follow the first story you've been told. This was college students, surviving roommates are possibly involved, with as much as I have seen, researched, exposed, from Bethany Funke's Venmos to Dylan Mortensen being harassed, bullied, and hazed on Halloween Day. What was actually going on between the surviving roommates? Were they all friends or were they foes? Who knows? Why were these people hiding behind the bushes? How come DM is affidavit has changed so much? See, she seemed to be quite active. They made us believe she came out, she saw a man with bushy eyebrows, with a mask. Do you remember exactly what she said? And he passed her by and walked out of the door, of the sliding door. She even said she heard somebody that sounded like Kaylee playing with the dog. That's why I believe Kaylee was in a room. Before I first ever found out, and it became viral, the one with Saeed watching the pictures of Kaylee in a sitting position. That's why I always had my eyes on the frats. My theories were always there. The people who were doing the most activities that quiet night, allegedly, was the frats. Sororities, surviving roommates we did not see. And I'm always interested in the ones we don't see. The ones we see, we saw enough. While they were surveilling the girls, how Hoodie Guy was acting towards the girls. Let's come back to this weapon that the officer has in his hand. He got from Maddie's black long coat. It could be somebody else's long coat too, but it looked like the one Maddie borrowed from Jack D allegedly. And I've also heard Jack Showalter borrowed the coat to Maddie. But mostly I've heard Jack D, which I would believe because Jack Showalter had on a brown hoodie, brown jacket with a hoodie and a white hoodie. What is this weapon about? I do believe there were people and there were weapons in the bushes, people with costumes. What is it he has in his hand? Is that a hatchet? Could it be a keba? No. Something is not right here. Why would you take evidence? The coat is evidence to start with. It could have DNA, it could have fiber, it could have small particles of DNA, saliva. It could have blood, Maddie's, or whoever dragged her. That's why I always believed there was something about Taylor Avenue. I've always said it was two incidents from the beginning. I've always exposed the pictures of what Said was watching. That's how I came out with the two-incident theory. That's how I knew the Banfield boys did it in 19 minutes. Them and the Sigma Chi fraternity boys and the Jacks. At least Jack Schwarter, allegedly, in my opinion. I'm not just throwing out names there. The more I research into these people from when the unalivings happened, that's almost 3 years ago, it points back to the frats. I hate to say that. They said they would do it in 90 minutes, and they did it. It points back to the surviving roommates. But Taylor Avenue and Banfield, I'm happy that people are catching up with Banfield now, finally. I'm still not done with the grub truck is analyzation. But after all the things that I've found and put together, my research always told me the victims were not unalived at the same time. That there's more motives, revenge, hazing, bullying, name it. I don't know where Brian Christopher Kohlberger fits in all of this. And I really believe it has to do with Bethany Funk because she has exculpatory evidence. And the exculpatory evidence, in my humble opinion, is simple. Bethany Funk was selling in the house. We knew that there was rugs in this house. We all have some kind of understanding that rugs, follow the money, could be part of this. But people keep on forgetting and making BK seem like an antisocial personality disorder person instead of focusing on alternative suspects. That's what I've always been doing. Not just making speculations and theories, but with my own research to back it up for myself, because I'm entitled to my opinion. And such things, even common sense would ask us, why wasn't this bagged up? Why wasn't it tagged with the date, the time, where it was found, the location? Nothing of that sort. So the only way I see it is the surviving roommates, the frats, all involved, and the cover-up is they can't have this reputation on their college, allegedly. This is 45% of Moscow, there's income. WSU Kim informed us. Although she added here and there was a lot of truth in what she was saying. People were just, certain YouTube creators were debunking her like we have any authority to be debunking anyone, honestly. We don't. Just pay attention to what I'm talking about. They don't bag it. They don't tag it. They have something that looks like a weapon. He wears his gloves first, puts his hands in the bushes. Now they have Maddie's coat. Now you see the weapon. There you go. Wow. It has two spears, kind of. I know it's blurred, but I hope you can see. It looks like that. Do you see it? Is that a bow? Or is that a crowbar? What do you think, guys? This is strange. Is that a crowbar? Oh my God, is that a crowbar? This red thing is the fire extinguisher. What does the officer have in his hand? Is that a crowbar? This is strange. So he found this in the bushes. Do you remember Jack Showalter had something in his jacket? Could this be the weapon? He had a K-bar shape item in his pant pocket too. Could this be the weapon the cops found in Maddie's coat? Just a question. Could this be what they were carrying? The cops from Maddie's jacket. Could it be something like this? I know that's illegal. One of my first alternative suspects is Jack Showalter. And then David Lodge, David B, allegedly. I've seen enough motives, the timelines. The previous timeline. Have a lot to do with them. Look at Showalter's eye. That should say everything. Who did he have a fight with? He was at the corner club with Adam and Jack D. Kaylee allegedly got him kicked out. Jack D had this profile on his TikTok. When everyone started asking him questions about his nails and why his hands and face was injured, he took it off. Look at his knees. Did he just have an innocent fight with Showalter, or was he at the crime scene? Maddie and Kaylee called him 10 times together. And all this happened to Kaylee and Maddie after the last call to Jack D. And at 2:53, Maddie made a call to Bethany Funk, but she didn't answer her. Then it went quiet for at least almost an hour. I think that's when DM was taking pictures. Why does Jack D's nails look like that? Just a question. Just observing, analyzing. He took it out of his TikTok profile and he took his TikTok down. Those are important questions to be asked. Did he have a fight with Jack Showalter, allegedly, or Adam, allegedly, or was he at the crime scene, allegedly? There's one thing I believe about WSU Kim, which was the theory about Jack D, that her daughter said Jack D was involved. Allegedly, I believe that. The mayor said himself, crime of passion. It could be John Roger Showalter, too, because he has sexual harassment. Ethan got him kicked out of the frats because he was harassing girls, and I'm sure it could be the victims and Zana. DM had her own beef with what happened in Halloween, 13 days before the unalivings, bullying, hazing. Ruggs could have been partly involved. I wouldn't be surprised if Steve G was threatened to keep his silence. Let me know what you'll think. Sigma Chi Fraternity boys. The one who was going to put Maddie to sleep. He could have easily dragged her into the bushes. The frats know exactly what was happening. A lot of beef was brewing in the house. The girls were told not to speak, but Maddie was telling Adam everything. And the word must have gone back to the organization, and they set a hit out for them. And it was the frats. This was a party revenue. The surviving roommate Bethany Funk BF was selling rugs in a Venmo's. That could have got Brian Koberger in contact with the surviving roommate because he was on addiction before. Why did they demolish the house? To get rid of all the traces, evidence? Dylan Mortensen and her boyfriend Quincy put up a lot on VSCO. They put it on private that night. This is DM and a boyfriend, allegedly, according to the college students. There were many people with masks seen that night, allegedly. 3:30, Quinn Kelly was supposed to be there that night. Many people saw him. They put their pictures on VSCO. Now that we know, within the 911 calls, the surviving roommates were on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Yik, a bullying app, and so forth. Bethany Funk was taking pictures for 1 minute. Very interesting. If Quinn Kelly, Dylan's boyfriend, was there that night, and if her father was the one she was contacting, did she call them for backup because she's being bullied and harassed? Or was this about money, allegedly? This was the person who was seen at 3:30. Shout out to, I think it's a TikToker called Horrific. He got us this in the beginning. Appreciate that a lot. Look at the mask. This person was seen on GeoSnap at 3:30. Let me know what you'll think. A lot was happening that night. Look at all the things inside the bushes. Looks like a leg, a bone. People wearing costumes, allegedly. That's all in my opinion. But there's a lot happening there. You can see the figures in the bushes. And we saw what the police took out from the bushes. Showed you of this first on my channel. DM showing her finger with a friend. Janice or Janice, whatever name is. Look at the Good Vibes picture. How it's tilting on the side. Look at the floor near the switch. It looks like something sticky, dark red. This is before the cleanup crew or whatever came, I believe. This is all staged, in my opinion only. The other one's carrying something on her fingers, like a knuckle dust or something. What, small weapon? I don't know. DM showing us the finger. Is it because she was called a liar, a manipulator on TikTok by Maddie? Maddie never took it down. There's all evidence. So keep in mind, there was 1 hour, almost 55 minutes, 57 minutes of silence in the 911 transcript. This is what DM was doing. We have David Baracho from the Sigma Chi Fraternity, who's a senior, who was Ethan's shooter. He said he was going to do what he was going to do. He has a lot of fantasies about unaliving, allegedly. You have David Lout sitting on his white truck, allegedly who uses steroids. He and Ethan had a fight that night, allegedly. 911 call was called for a fight. outside the frats, Sigma Chi. His friend here with the blue shirt is the one who is packed at the grub truck. The other one was at the grub truck too. You can see poor Kaylee in the sitting position. That's why I've always said it was two separate incidents. The first one was Zana and Ethan between 2 to 2:25. After everything I exposed that the people were yelling Zana and Ethan's name at the grub truck, I knew the incidents were separate. Then you hear a female yelling at 2:55, stop it, stop. That wasn't Ethan or Zana. They were already unalived, in my opinion. I believe that was Maddie. Or I believe, in fact, it was Kaylee, because Maddie was really DOPED, doped up by number 9 at the Sigma Chi frat. I mean the guy at the Sigma Chi frat, number 9, was telling number 8 he's going to put Maddie to sleep. And he must have done that. But Maddie has left important clues, because 3 mixed male DNAs were found under her nails. Let's not forget that. This is what Saeed was watching. Kaylee in the sitting position. Who's the guy or the female with the white mask is another question. Kaylee was showing us she never trusted Shawalter. Something was very odd. Look at how big his jacket is, because he's carrying, both in his pants and his jacket, he's carrying weapons. Although it's blurry, you can see he's carrying something. It's blurry because I zoomed in. Could that be what the police found? Kaylee was warning us. I smell and I see danger. In case anything happens, look at hoodie guy and the guys behind me, was what she was trying to say, I believe. Please like, share, and subscribe.